Jackass!
Hey everybody, Jefferson Webster here. Welcome back to part 2 of Golf Video Games. Let's kick things off with talking about T&E Soft. Several games were released across consoles such as SNES, Sega Genesis, Panasonic 3DO, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn from TE. In the US, we received a Waialae game, a Pebble Beach game, and Wicked 18, a fictitious fantasy course otherwise known as Devil's Open in Japan. Waialae on the N64 gets a lot of hate from critics, and I suppose rightfully so. However, I don't think it should be an indictment of the game, but more so of the capabilities of the Nintendo 64. Gameplay varied by the console generation the game was ported to. Oh, look at this, I just hit Cloud City. What the hell is that thing? Oh well. Ultimately, I've found that the Panasonic 3DO, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn ports were the best among the consoles. However, that's to be expected given that they were the most powerful at the time. The game's graphics, flyovers, cutscenes, and other features were on par with PC golf games at the time, but I'll be honest, I'm not thrilled with the shot meter. After double tapping the shot meter, you get this awkward pause leading to the golfer shot animation.
What we have here is the most magnificent golf resort on the face of God's good earth.
If you would have told me there's a Masters golf video game released on the N64 in 1997, I would have been so amped. Now, I'll be candid, this game isn't the best golf game made at the time, but come on, man, it's Augusta National.
The normally reserved Augusta crowd, going wild.
Released only in Japan, the game came out on the N64, SNES, Sega Master System, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Panasonic 3DO. The game ironically features a lot of English language in the UI and presentation, so perhaps the game was intended for a full launch in the US eventually. If none of these console versions get you excited, then you need to check out the 3DO version. Your caddy is none other than Eli Manning.
Nice par. Sweet approach.
Got off to a good start, had a good drive. And it was pretty short.
Did you just crunch chips during his backswing? Wow. Hey Eli, what do you think about Augusta National?
It's a special place to me.
I didn't realize you were a caddy. When was the first time you realized that was something you were interested in?
I went to sports camp for about a month when I was 11 years old.
Have you had any kind of training leading up to this to be a professional golf caddy?
We've had no coaching. We refused to get coaching on it. This is all our own technique, all natural.
Apparently Eli just changed his clothes and put on a headband. I don't know. Even if you're a casual golf fan, you have to appreciate the Masters Golf Tournament. 4 days of magic, all for the green jacket.
Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
Speaking of green jackets, let's address the elephant in the room. Wilbur, are you on the call? How did you end up with the green jacket? I did some research since our last conversation, and you never won the Masters.
Oh, you got me, Danny. So I'm at Byron Nelson's house down in Texas. He's throwing a barbecue or some shit, and I'll tell you what, Johnny, that barbecue did not agree with my stomach, so I had an emergency poop coming.
Former greenskeeper now about to become the Masters champion.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
I can only assume that the T&E Masters game was not ported over to US consoles based on the abysmal success of the other T&E games. If T&E would have put profits aside and featured all of these courses into one game, then they may have had something. But alas, they didn't. And these games on their own, they're not that good. Bad decisions continued for T&E when they decided to develop this.
T&E Soft presents
Golf for the Virtual Boy in 1995. Yuck. I'm getting a migraine just thinking about this. It sucks. T&E was quiet for a bit, then returned with Swing Away Golf and Disney Golf on the PlayStation 2. Swing Away Golf came first in 2000, and it's nothing to write home about. Next, the Disney license version was released in 2002. This time they stole shamelessly from competitors like Everybody's Golf for gameplay, the hit meter, and other features. If you're a Disney fan, this is worth picking up, otherwise both of these games are average at best.
I got a hole in too many.
Apologies ahead of time for the poor video here. I'm far too lazy to stand up an AV input for my 3DS. So the last gasp for T&E golf games lie in True Swing Golf for the Nintendo DS. Released in 2005, this game is quite polarizing with many loving or hating the game. Gameplay requires usage of a stylus pen to strike the ball, something I would compare to the trackball for Golden Tee.
Bro, did you say Golden Tee?
While I don't think it is the best golf game nor the best portable golf game at the time, I can certainly appreciate the features and work dedicated to this game. Along with online play, leveling up golf equipment, 15 unlockable courses, and a trivia mode, this game has a fun challenge mode that has 100 challenges such as closest to the pin and longest drive. Additionally, 2 of the players in the Championship of Trivia are called Miyamoto and Iwata, named after Shigeru Miyamoto and Satoru Iwata respectively, a nod to Nintendo royalty.
So I step out of the bathroom and I see Byron's closet. And what do I see? 2 green jackets. And guess what? One of the green jackets fits me perfectly. As I put the green jacket on, Byron's dog Bogey came in the room and started growling at me. Well, I had some barbecue in my pocket, so I gave Bogey some barbecue. Later I found out Bogey had diarrhea all over Byron's white sofa.
That's just awful.
They were playing golf here when they still thought the world was flat, Mr. Jones. All I really want to say is, don't give up on her. She's the grandest course there is.
St. Andrews, another legendary course only released in Japan for the N64 and PlayStation consoles. Developed and published by the Seta Corporation, this was the first golf game ever released for the N64. I suppose the only comforting takeaway here is that the game is not very good. The swing meter uses the analog of the controller, which was innovative at the time, later adopted by franchises like Tiger Woods and the Golf Club. However, the execution just isn't great. I had difficulty with woods and irons, and then I get this long putt and I just drain it on the first try. I don't know. Developed by Epoch, the SNES version is quite a bit different and doesn't use the analog for swinging. Instead, it uses a balance and power meter separately. Bad graphics, tiny little golfer, it's just not fun to play. So yeah, still trash. VR Golf 97 on the PlayStation, known as Actua Golf on the Sega Saturn console. The swing meter in this game is terrible, and to add insult to injury, you have Pat O'Brien razzing you after every poor shot you take.
What an awful shot. Clearly a bad decision. That was awful. That shot should have been fairly straightforward.
Okay, Pat, bite me. At the time, the game received positive reviews leading to a sequel, Actua Golf 2 for PC and PlayStation, but I'm not even investigating that one because this game is horrible. Of the late 90s golf games I played, this one is one of the worst. You don't want this one.
I want you badly. I know you want me.
No, I don't want this game, Pat.
I'm so into you. It's incredible.
Pat, I barely know you. Bro, that guy's weird.
It's disgusting.
Hey, hooker. Let's get crazy. Some coke.
Estelle! This shit just got interesting.
Okay, let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about the Sega 32X for a minute. Among the 40 releases for the Sega 32X, you know they have to have at least one golf game. Golf Magazine 36 Great Holes featuring Fred Couples. Wow, that's a mouthful.
I want you badly.
Okay, Pat, settle down. As most of you know, the 32X was an epic failure across all fronts. So how was the golf experience on here? I actually like this game. I had never played it before, and my only criticisms are a slightly slow pace, and the color palette is a bit jarring. I like the 2 meters, one for power and one for accuracy, and the swing animations are good. The grid of the putting green loads seamlessly. It's basically like playing a Sega Genesis PGA Tour game on steroids, which is what I think Sega intended for the 32X. Either that or Sega executives were partying with Pat O'Brien.
Cocaine.
Boner up? World Masters Golf on the SNES. I honestly don't know what's going on with this game. The controls are weird, the pace is slow, possibly one of the worst golf games on the SNES. I would stay away from it if I were you. Among the 211 games released for the Sega CD in the US, Europe, and Japan, 2 of them were golf games. Only released in Japan in 1993, Dynamic Country Club 3D Golf Simulation. Let's see. Let me just pick my female caddy here.
Again, with the female caddies, really?
Let's put sexism to the side and talk about some of the gameplay. The graphics are pretty underwhelming considering this is a CD-based game, but the 2 swing meters seem to be fair and working well. Get in there! Come on! Oh, rat farts! Link's, primarily a PC golf game, was ported to the Sega CD in the US in 1994. There's not much to say here because this game sucks. All the information on the screen, it's all moot because the swing meter's terrible. I recommend skipping this one. Ironically, the Link's 2004 port to the Xbox is fantastic. Shame on me for not knowing about this game back in the day. The game has similar features to the Tiger Woods PGA Tour series with Create a Golfer, Career Mode, Pro Golfer, Putting Path Assistance, and leverages the thumbstick to hit your shots. The graphics, music, commentary, presentation, and gameplay are all great. This game is super cheap right now, so if you have an Xbox and like golf games, go pick this one up. This game is in my top 10 golf games of all the ones I reviewed. World Cup Golf, released for the PlayStation and 3DO in 1994. Many of these CD-based games really mimic their PC counterparts at the time with similar graphics, gameplay, and full-motion video.
Now watch this drive.
I must say, I do like how the camera follows the ball after you tee off. The swing meter is pretty fair, however the swing meter is different on the 3DO. I'm not sure what the hell they were thinking. Perhaps the developers were beta testing swing meters, or there could have been some programming issues with the console. Either way, neither of these versions hold up to today's games, but if you're interested, I'd suggest the PlayStation version here. Tecmo World Golf, released on the PlayStation in 1996, has 2 weird shot meters, one for power and one for contact. The swinging animations are laughably bad. Plus, you'll get really tired of that song that plays on a loop throughout the entire game. All of this being said, this game is no bueno. Stay away from it. Released in 1998 on the PlayStation, Pro 18 World Tour Golf had a decent amount of professional golfers in the game for the time. The full motion video swinging animations look really good. The game has 2 meters, one for power and one for accuracy, which present their own set of challenges. This is an average golf game at best.
Okay, college guy, let's revisit this hat thing. Oh, this again? Why do you have a problem with my hat, bro? It looks like a 10-gallon hat. How much distance is there between your actual head and the top of that hat?
Arby's, we have the meats.
This is the worst looking hat I ever saw. Well, you buy a hat like this, I'll bet you get a free bowl of soup, huh? Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Eagle Shot Golf, a 1994 arcade game, and it's pretty good. You get an up-down meter for your woods and irons with speed varying depending upon the golfer you select. The graphics look good, gameplay's fun. The putting is pretty much a simple power meter. It's a decent arcade game for the time. Best Shot Pro Golf was released in Japan on the Super Famicom in '96, and I can kind of say I've played this game. It looks interesting, however for the life of me I couldn't figure out how to get to the actual gameplay. I really tried, guys. The video game golfer receives spa treatments, acupuncture, and even lifted weights. From what I gather on the internet, you have to train to play in tournaments, however with the Japanese text I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Ah well.
This is a Fox Sports presentation.
And yeah, that's about as good as it's gonna get. Fox Sports Golf 99 on the PlayStation is really bad.
Oh no.
The game does have pro golfers, but the graphics and gameplay are terrible. The swing meter has different notches which factor into how you strike the ball. More often than not, you'll be shanking it every time. Plus, randomly the ball will just take off when it lands on the ground in an inadvertent direction. I mean, look at that shit. I had zero fun playing this game. Watch this, I almost hole this, then I can't even tap in the damn recovery putt. This game's awful.
Yes, what an excellent shot from out of the rough.
Konami's The Final Round, released on the PlayStation in 1996. The game has a two-way golf strike meter, then a traditional power meter pops up to hit the ball. This game is meh, not good, not bad. Let's move on. Cyber Tiger was a fun game that EA published on the PlayStation, N64, and Game Boy Color back in '99 and 2000. I really liked this game. Conceptually, it reminds me of Baseball Simulator 1000 on the NES. You get to use special abilities like this rocket shot. I mean, I just poked this for 399 yards. Yes, this is a kid's game and the music's weird, but the graphics and gameplay are good. This game is often overlooked, so if you've never played it, give it a shot.
Hey Wilbert, did you ever cheat on the course back in your playing days?
Yeah, in the PGA, everybody's watching you. It's bullshit. Today you got all these fancy guys with the nice clubs and the sponsorships. When I was playing, you know what woods were made of?
Yeah,
That was a rhetorical question, dickhead. Woods were made out of wood, god damn it!
Make you crazy. Make you crazy.
Man, that guy needs to get laid.
I guess anything can happen in golf.
Swingers Golf. Okay, Pat, that's about enough. Yikes, sorry about that. Well, Swingers Golf, released exclusively on the GameCube in 2002. That said, the controls were adapted specifically for the GameCube. You use the yellow analog as a power meter, and the accuracy is determined by where the analog stick ends up. Overall, this one's a bit of a Hot Shots clone with some different controls. It's okay. The only other PC game I'm going to mention in this video is Sid Meier's Sim Golf. Released in 2002, this game allows you to create your own golf course and play it with sim characters weighing in along the way. If you're into other Sid Meier games like Civilization, then this one may be for you. Virtua Golf, otherwise known as Dynamic Golf, was never released in the US. It was part of the Sega Naomi project, which stood for New Arcade Operation Machine Idea. Yeah, you can't get any more corporate with that acronym. I'm sure they thought they were being clever at the time. From what it looks like, the Naomi was Sega's version of the Neo Geo, except the home port build was eventually called the Sega Dreamcast. Both were released in Japan in 1999. As for the golf game, it came from the origins of the Virtua Tennis franchise. Ironically, Virtua Tennis was a launch title for the Naomi cabinet. It was also ported to the US on Dreamcast 1 year later in 2000. As for Virtua Dynamic Golf, I really don't have much to say. I've never played it because I don't have a Naomi. Based upon the screenshots, it kinda looks like Sega's version of Golden Tee.
Did you say Golden Tee, bro? Changed your hat, huh?
Speaking of the Sega Dreamcast, Tee Off was the only golf game released in the US for the Dreamcast in 1999. Other titles, Netton Golf, Shioyo, Shioyo 2, were released in Japan. I don't have these Japanese games, but from what I can gather, they seem decent and similar to Tee Off, which is somewhat of a Hot Shots golf clone. They're mainly pick-up and put-down arcade-style games.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's talk about the Hot Shots Golf franchise. Referred to as Everybody's Golf in Japan, the series has stood the test of time for a few decades now. Camelot Software actually developed the first version of the game, which is the same company that went on to develop all of the Mario Golf games. Clap Hands took over development after the first game, and several iterations of the game were produced from 1990 to the current date. One minor sidetrack rant here, Hot Shots on the Vita was one of the few Vita games that isn't playable on PlayStation TV. That sucks. The games use a linear power meter with one button tap. The second button tap determines the accuracy of the shot. Subsequent versions of the game include new features, unlockable characters, and better graphics. But overall, the gameplay is relatively unchanged. In 2017, the developer finally scrapped the Hot Shots title and conformed to the Japanese naming convention Everybody's Golf. The PS4 release was basically a beefed-up version of the series. One funny thing I've noticed about the franchise in a tournament or online play is someone always sprints after your ball once you hit it. Could you imagine that in real life? In 2019, Everybody's Golf VR was released for the PS4. I've heard some mixed reviews about this with calibration, but I found if you slam the club down, it'll calibrate, and I actually ended up liking this game. Regardless of the mixed reviews, I would recommend this. It's cheap and it's a good PlayStation VR game, so if you have VR, pick it up. I think it's terribly underrated.
Ha! Nice!
Chee-chee!
That was
good. Welcome. A new face. Hello, I've not seen you around here before. Oh.
Hi there. Miyuki on reception told me about you.
What's with all these video game developers exploiting Asian women?
If you agree with this, just look at me and say yes.
Pat, no. No, Pat.
Mario made a few appearances in golf games like Golf and NES Open. However, there wasn't an official Mario Golf game until 1999. During this time, we received Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color and N64. Developed by Camelot Software, these games leveraged the Everybody's Golf engine for gameplay. The mobile version had RPG elements. Additionally, if you had both games in a transfer pack, you could upload characters from the Game Boy Color version to the N64 game. Both games were solid back in the day. Released exclusively in Japan, Mobile Golf on the Game Boy Color was basically a clone of the previous Mario Golf game. RPG elements still existed and many Mario characters from the previous game were unlockable. However, the main differentiator for this game was that it had an adapter that allowed you to play over the internet with others on a mobile phone. Nintendo has always tried to be innovative, and obviously Nintendo's attempts at mobile gaming have failed, but they always seem to continue to fall forward throughout the years. For the second round of Mario Golf games, Nintendo and Camelot Software followed up with a dual release of Mario Golf Toadstool Tour on the GameCube and Golf Advanced Tour on the DS in 2003 and 2004 respectively. The DS mobile version leans even harder into RPG elements, and once again these games were unable to be linked together. Overall, both versions were improved upon with the previous versions. Good games here. We Love Golf, released by Camelot in 2007, attempted to take the same game and modify it to Wii motion controls. Maybe I suck or something, but it seemed like a failed experiment. And perhaps in a moment of self-awareness of how broken the gameplay is, you have a little Wiimote character like Clippy from Microsoft Office that just hangs his head in shame every time you F up the controls. Now I haven't had time to set up my 3DS to a PC input, so you're going to get this shitty perspective. Camelot Software put out 2 Mario Golf related games on the 3DS. Mario Golf World Tour was released in 2014. The gameplay is similar to previous releases, however they basically have abandoned the RPG features from the previous portable versions. Mario Sports Superstars for the Nintendo 3DS. Let's open this sucker up.
No, that's NIB! Don't open it! No!
This game is essentially a collection of mini sports games: soccer, baseball, tennis, horse racing, and golf. It's basically an abbreviated version of the previous World Tour golf game. Let's check it out. Gameplay on Mario Sports Superstars from a golf perspective is almost identical as that of Mario World Tour. Will Nintendo release a Mario Golf game on the Switch? There have been many rumors that Nintendo will just phone it in and do a remaster of one of the older versions versus a specifically designed game for the Switch. I'd love to see them develop something using motion controls that isn't a disaster like We Love Golf, but who knows? Often the path of the least resistance is the one taken.
Well guys, that's it for part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 where we unpack motion controls in the Tiger Woods franchise. As always, stay safe, wear a mask, and save a life. See you guys!
Oh, would you like one? Yes? I'm just kidding.
R.I.P. RPG.